Have you ever looked into her eyes and felt something shift in you? Not just attraction, not just curiosity, but something more dangerous, a storm without a name. There's a sweetness in her presence that lowers your guard, a softness that makes you forget your edge, and you tell yourself it's love. But brother, this isn't poetry. This is design. There is a realm of knowledge most modern men have abandoned, not because it's false, but because it's too expensive to carry, too uncomfortable to keep awake at night. Socrates didn't walk away from that knowledge. He walked right into it, and what he found wasn't hate. It was truth. A truth so sharp it still cuts through men today. He didn't warn with bitterness. He warned with clarity sharpened by pain. He saw that where men are shaped by logic, women are shaped in layers, layers of mystery, emotion, adaptability, and power. He didn't say it to degrade, he said it to wake us up, because whatever is veiled should never be trusted blindly, and whatever enchants must be understood before it consumes. The men around him laughed, the city judged, the jurors condemned. But he smiled, because he knew, a man who understands a woman only by how she looks, and not how she works, is like a soldier falling, in love with the shine of his enemy's sword. Beautiful, fatal. Socrates didn't give answers. He asked questions. So ask yourself now, why does she prefer to hold power in the shadows? Why is her affection often tied to timing, position, gain? Why can her silence say more than 1,000 words? If you don't ask, you won't see. And if you don't see, you won't kneel out of love. You'll kneel out of illusion. In the Republic, Socrates describes the just soul, the balanced man, ruled by reason, not led by appetite, not enslaved by impulse. But what happens to the man who builds his life around a woman he doesn't understand? That man isn't building a soul. He's building a shrine to confusion. And this shrine, it doesn't make him whole. It hollows him out. Socrates warned of the tyrant soul, the man ruled by his craving, always hungry, always chasing, never still. And now look around. How many men wear the suit of logic, speak the language of self-development, say they want legacy, but deep down are just chasing a woman's approval? How many build empires not for their children, but for her attention? Understand this. Socrates wasn't warning you about her. He was warning you about you. Because when you don't know her nature, she isn't your enemy. She isn't your salvation. She's your test. And every man must face that test, or get broken beneath the weight of his own illusions. You were trained to look for beauty, but Socrates knew beauty is the bait. What matters is the intention behind it. And that's where men fall. You chase form and forget essence. You chase her touch and forget her pattern. You don't observe, you fall, and when you fall, she doesn't catch you, not because she's cruel, but because nature didn't build her to. She selects, she tests, she adapts. But she doesn't build men. That's your job. That's your burden. And your crown. Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. But more dangerous than the unexamined life is the unexamined desire. And no desire blinds a man faster than the one he has for the feminine. It wears the mask of romance. It sings like purpose. It looks like destiny. But underneath, it's not always love. It's instinct. It's survival. It's selection. You call it devotion. She calls it timing. In Phaedrus, Socrates says that love, if left unchecked by reason, turns to madness. Divine madness, maybe, but madness still. He described the soul pulled by lust as a wingless creature, crawling in circles, obsessed with the source of its desire. Stuck, starving, looping. Sound familiar? Look at the world today. How many men have sacrificed their mission, their standards, their soul, for what? A fleeting kiss, a dopamine hit from a soft voice and a gentle touch. You weren't put here to be devoured by the feminine. You were put here to understand it, because she isn't just soft skin and sweet words. She's a survivor. She's strategy wrapped in silk. And when you confuse her smile for surrender, you forget her design. Socrates knew women aren't built to look for what's true. They look for what's safe. That's not a flaw. It's brilliance. It's biology. It's survival. She doesn't seek what's right. She seeks what protects, what reflects strength, what offers certainty. She's not checking your thoughts. She's scanning your posture, your ambition, your focus, your self-governance. That speaks to her. But if you hand her the crown before you wear your own, she'll never bow. If you place her above your mission, she will test you until you fall. Not out of cruelty, out of instinct. Because what you just told her is simple. My soul is for sale, and she won't buy it, but she will test how cheaply you'll give it away. Socrates believed the soul had three parts: reason, spirit, and appetite. The highest man? He's ruled by reason. He leads with clarity. He lives with direction. But the man led by appetite, sexual, emotional, or social, dissolves. He stops, leading. He follows, not her, but his hunger for her. And you know these men, you've seen them. Men who light up only when she smiles. Men who orbit her mood like it's the sun. Men who would burn their own principles just to keep her warm another night. And if you're not careful, you become one of them. Socrates lived in a city obsessed with performance. Men confusing noise for wisdom, beauty for virtue, charm for truth. And when he questioned it, they silenced him. But his voice still echoes, not for the crowd, not for the sycophants, for you, for the man who's tired of guessing. He knew something that feels ancient and futuristic all at once. Women are tuned to the present. They feel the moment. They seek safety. They move based on now. Men, we're cursed and blessed with vision, with weight, with dreams we can't always explain. Your mind reaches forward. Your bones carry legacy. Your soul aches to build. But here's the seduction. The feminine offers a beautiful escape from that burden. Comfort, warmth, the illusion of peace. But that peace is borrowed, and you'll pay for it with purpose. Don't. Your peace must come from clarity, not her compliance, because she will test your frame, your center, your boundaries. She will mirror your uncertainty with surgical precision, and if you don't know who you are, she will show you exactly what you're not. Not to be cruel, but because that's how she filters. That's how nature filters. Socrates taught us not to hate the world, but to interrogate it. Not to fear what confuses us, but to illuminate it. So do that. Illuminate her, not with paranoia. With understanding. She's not your anchor. She's the tide. You know what that means? It means she moves, she shifts, she flows. And it's not her job to hold you in place. It's yours. You have to become a philosopher of your own instincts. A man who doesn't just feel, but observes what he feels. Because Socrates warned us, the danger isn't just in the spear or the city. It's in the desire we refuse to study. And no desire haunts men more than the longing for the feminine. Mystery they never took the time to understand. The tragedy isn't that you need her. It's that you don't know why you need her, so you build altars. You call her goddess. You ask her for miracles. And when she doesn't deliver, you blame her. But she was never built to complete you. She was built to test you. In Gorgias, Socrates dismantled the idea that pleasure equals good, that what feels right is right. He stripped away the illusion that validation, especially hers, is the same as virtue. And that idea, it shakes the modern man to his core, because your pursuit of her affection feels noble, but it's not. It's often a symptom, a sign you forgot your purpose. You don't need her attention. You need your soul to stand up in the dark when no one is looking, when no one is clapping. Men today aren't collapsing because of weakness. They're collapsing because of confusion. They read her emotions better than they read their own values. They speak her language but forget their own name. You think you're being romantic. She thinks you've lost your edge. And she's right. Because she can't love what she doesn't respect, and she won't respect what she can control. Socrates didn't have social media, but his thinking still reads like prophecy. He saw harmony not as sameness but as right order. Each soul in its rightful place. And the truth is, a woman doesn't want to lead you. She wants to feel safe in your direction. She wants to trust that when she gets emotional, you don't fall apart with her. But if you start making her moods your compass, her approval your mirror, her affection your goal, you stop being a man. You become a satellite. She may keep you around, but not because she wants to, because you're convenient. But convenience expires, and when it does, so does your illusion of love. This world is filled with men who thought worship would win her, that if they gave everything, she'd stay. But love is not won through worship. It's earned through sovereignty. In Meno, Socrates asked, "Can virtue be taught?" But what he was really asking was, do men even recognize virtue anymore? Ask yourself that. Do you know what masculine virtue looks like before you try to give it to her? Or have you confused devotion for discipline, lust for loyalty, obedience for love? She doesn't want you broken. She doesn't want you needy. She doesn't even want you nice. She wants you real. And the real man? He doesn't orbit the feminine. He orbits the good, the true, the just. And only if she can move with that rhythm does he invite her along. When she sees that you live by principle, not persuasion, when she sees you lead with clarity, not reaction, when she sees you love without losing yourself, she follows. Not because you asked her to, because you earned it. That's the paradox Socrates understood. Power doesn't come from chasing. It comes from becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase. Not her, not approval, not the applause of anyone. And the moment you stop needing her to say yes and start saying yes to your own form, not your image but your essence, you become untouchable. Not because you're cold, but because you're whole. Wholeness. That's the wealth men have forgotten. In ancient Athens, the temples weren't built for comfort. They were carved for virtue, etched in stone, tested in trial, whispered into the souls of men by thinkers like Socrates. Know thyself. Not please her, not serve her, not be what she desires. No, because in knowing there's power, and in power there's peace. But most men today are not at peace. They're at war, not with her, but with the lie they've told themselves that her love will save them, that her body will fix the ache, that her smile will make them feel like men. But that's not love. That's intoxication. And any philosopher will tell you, the drunk man can't see truth. He only sees shadows that dance like salvation. Socrates talked often about forms, the pure idea behind every imperfect version we see. There's a form of womanhood, just like there's a form of manhood. But modern men don't chase the form. They chase the shadow. They chase the body, the hair, the scent, the sigh. But never stop to ask, what does this serve? What does it protect? What does it devour? She is not evil. She is efficient. She is not deceptive. She is adaptive. She is not broken. She is engineered, not for your survival, but for hers. Her instincts move faster than your fantasies. Her judgments are sharper than your compliments. And when you stare at her through lust or longing, she sees what you won't, your weakness. Socrates never said this directly, but it's hidden in every question he ever asked. You are either governed by reason or you are governed by desire. There is no third kingdom, and the man who dives into her without awareness, without direction, without a map, doesn't become free. He becomes lost, smiling maybe, but drowning. And what's his fate? To blame her, to call her cruel for dragging him under. But she didn't drag him. She just was. He never learned to swim. But the man who studies himself, who faces his thirst, who dissects the illusion before it seduces him, that man sails. She respects that man, not because he dominates, but because he's clear. In the Symposium, Socrates tells of Diotima, a woman who teaches him that love is not the body. Love is a ladder. You start by loving one beautiful form. Then you climb to love all beauty, then truth, then wisdom, and eventually the divine. But most men, they never climb. They stay stuck on the first rung. They rot in the pleasure pit. They confuse a woman's affection with their life's purpose. But you don't rot, you rise. She is not your ending. She's your mirror, your gate, your invitation. She's the wind, but you must be the sail. Your strength isn't in overpowering her. It's in outgrowing the need for her to define you. Let her be a mystery. Let her be paradox. Let her be woman. But you must be man, not the reactive kind, the Socratic kind, measured, examined, unmoved by flattery, unbroken by silence, unaffected by whether she stays or goes. That's your calling, and that's your dignity, and dignity isn't given. It's forged, in silence, in rejection, in the long cold nights when no one is watching, when no one is coming to save you. That's where Socrates would tell you to build, not in her arms, not in her attention, but in your own inner court, unshakable and sovereign, the man who depends on her warmth to feel whole. He has no fire of his own, the man who bends just to keep her happy. He will bend again, and again, and again, until he's no longer a man, just a shadow of who he could have been. There is no real love without self-respect. There is no real intimacy without integrity. You want to know the kind of man she can't leave? It's not the richest, not the prettiest, not the most poetic. It's the man who can walk away and still be whole, because the second she feels you can't walk, the second she senses your soul is tied to her presence, she knows you're not fire. You're a candle, flickering, fragile, forgettable. But the man who holds his line, who smiles through rejection, who moves forward regardless of her mood, that man becomes a gravity. She can't help but feel him, even when she runs. Socrates knew this. He lived it. While others chased applause, he chased truth. And nothing is more true than this. A man's essence must be unmoved by her approval, because she will test you, not to destroy you but to locate you. When she yells, do you shrink? When she pulls away, do you panic? When she threatens to leave, do you lose your direction? Those aren't arguments, they're examinations. And every time you fail, she loses trust. Not because you're bad, but because you've shown her that your foundation is made of sand, and she can't trust a man who needs her more than he knows himself. You think the pain is punishment, but it's not. It's an invitation to rise, to refine, to become the kind of man who can love without losing himself. This isn't cold. This is clarity. This isn't detachment. This is sovereignty. This is what Socrates stood for. And in the end, he chose death over compromise, silence over flattery, truth over comfort. So what's your truth? It's this. You don't need to change her nature. You need to master your own. She is not the battlefield. She is the test, the tension, the sacred mirror that shows you who you really are. If you embrace that, she becomes the forge. If you resist it, she becomes the flame that burns. You don't ask her to simplify. Become wiser. Don't ask her to stay. Become the man she doesn't want to leave. Don't ask her to heal your wounds. Heal yourself so deeply that your scars speak truth. Socrates didn't command. He questioned. And if you walk that path, you will lose things. Illusions, addictions, weak stories you've told yourself. But what you'll gain is everything. Clarity, calm power, not over her but over yourself. And in that self-mastery you've already conquered the world. Let them call you cold. Let them say you're too firm, too logical. They're just afraid of men who cannot be bent, men who don't follow trends, don't chase validation, don't sell their soul for a kiss, men who stand, and when you stand, you become a beacon. Other men will remember who they were meant to be. So to you, the man who listens in silence, who feels that ache only the awake can feel. Rise, rise without rage, rise without apology, rise without fear, not against her, but for yourself. And when you do, the game ends, the illusions die, and the soul ascends. Welcome back, welcome home.